I don't know what's in store next, but for the first time to break into that, it was the right project.
There aren't many famous actors or actresses who have stunned audiences with a single role. Sandahl Bergman was one of those names. You might recognize her from her role as Valeria in Conan the Barbarian. She became an instant sensation after playing the lead in this action film that came out in 1982. If you're wondering why, it was all down to her magnetic screen presence. In the part she played opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger, the famed actor and legendary bodybuilder, Bergman acquired a cult following for her portrayal of a female warrior. Arnold continued to star in successful action flicks like Commando, The Terminator, and Predator. Despite Sandahl's meteoric rise to fame after his legendary turn in Conan the Barbarian, he nearly disappeared from public view shortly after. But why did she go without a trace, and what became of her? Strap in as we go into the reasons for Sandahl Bergman's absence following Conan the Barbarian. On November 14, 1951, in Kansas City, Missouri, Sandahl Bergman was born to Juice Bergman and Frances Bergman. Shawnee Mission East High School was her last stop on her academic journey. She has 3 younger siblings. There was no hiding the fact that Sandahl had a deep and abiding love for the performing arts from a young age. Her parents did the right thing by signing her up for dancing lessons when she was 5 years old. Her remarkable athletic physique and towering stature made her an instant star. Her passion for dance, she had training in ballet, tap, and jazz, was a big reason why she had so many fans. By the time she was a teenager, she was already playing in local theaters, a testament to her unwavering enthusiasm and talent. Sandahl said in an interview with Mark J. Gross that she began her professional career when she was 14 years old. She was able to begin working on equity plays at an early age after obtaining her equity union card, which signifies her recognition as a professional actor in the theatrical industry. But when she relocated to New York, the epicenter of the performing arts at the time, things took a turn for the worst. There were several difficulties during her early years in New York. When she rented her flat to someone else while it was still occupied, she was forced out for breaching the agreement. A pivotal moment in her life came when she tried out for the musical Pippin, which turned her life around during those difficult times. The great Bob Fosse was the choreographer for Pippin. Fosse brought so much to the table that working with him was an absolute pleasure. Among Fosse's many notable contributions to films and television shows is the iconic American musical Chicago. Cabaret, which he also directed, was a smashing success. Sandahl learned everything he could from Fosse, a choreographic master and seasoned mentor. She had a lot of respect for him, and he ended up mentoring her. The news of Sandahl's brilliance and personality spread like wildfire when Bob Fosse put her in Pippin, and the musical became a smashing success. She eventually got parts in Chicago and A Chorus Line, 2 classic Broadway musicals. A Chorus Line, a groundbreaking production for dancers of the day, had one of her most memorable performances. Sandahl played the role of Judy, a stylish and seasoned dancer in that show. The arduous practice sessions strengthened her character and were a watershed moment in her career. Her ambitions went beyond the theater, even though she had great success on Broadway. With her debut feature film, How to Pick Up Girls, Sandahl entered the film industry. But the turning point came with her second film, All That Jazz, 1978, which was helmed by Bob Fosse and was based on his life story. Her extraordinary dance abilities were able to reach a wider audience thanks to this film. When it came to poise, agility, and command of the stage, Sandahl was unrivaled. The filmmaker responsible for Conan the Barbarian took notice of this. He cast her as Valeria after being so pleased by her performance in All That Jazz. One of the most memorable films of the 80s, Conan the Barbarian introduced a similarly memorable character. The character of Valeria, a stunning and ferocious warrior, was a turning point in Sandahl's career. She was the ideal fit for the part because she possessed that rare combination of rugged beauty and toughness. She more than lived up to John Milius's expectations as the film's director. Making the persona popular, nevertheless, was no picnic. Among Sandahl's many forms of martial arts instruction was kendo, which makes use of bamboo swords in combat. Nonetheless, she made use of actual swords in her case. Oh yes, actual blades. It was definitely an unsafe undertaking. She nearly severed her finger at one point. You can see her level of commitment and seriousness about her work here. Because no stunt double could compete with her height and agility, she also had to learn how to fight. It was no little task to film the several classic moments that make up Conan the Barbarian. The difficult terrains and rough settings used for filming, which included Almería in Spain, made for physically and psychologically taxing fight sequences. The infamous Tower of Serpents sequence was the most difficult since it required her to climb, fight, and do a number of other physically demanding tasks. Sandahl bravely and resolutely carried out the sequences despite these hazards. She also nailed her first on-screen personal encounter, which must have been nerve-wracking for her. Moments of friendship occurred even in the face of these difficulties. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sandahl became quite close. They had a great time together on and off set. In the interim between takes, Bergman would often tell entertaining anecdotes, such as what it was like to work with a 7-time Mr. Olympia. Sandahl was in a much better position after the conclusion of Conan the Barbarian. Her rise to fame was greater than any accolade she received, and she went on to win a Golden Globe. She became an international superstar with a devoted fan following when the film thrust her into the limelight. For all female actors playing warriors or action heroines, Valeria's performance is a touchstone. Overall, her commitment to her craft and her readiness to go to any lengths to achieve success were on full display in Conan the Barbarian. Quite an impressive woman. What really caught everyone off guard, though, was how Sandahl nearly faded from view following this phenomenal achievement. So, after Conan the Barbarian, where did she go from there? Following her brilliant performance as Valeria, Bergman went on to participate in 13 television series and 22 films, although none of them were as successful as Conan the Barbarian. She never again achieved the same level of prominence, but she was still a well-known and esteemed figure in the industry. The 1980s were a big decade for action and adventure films, and Sandahl was a mainstay in that genre. The part of Queen Geedon in Red Sonja was one of them. She played an antagonist, which was a radical change from her prior roles, and she was fantastic in it. Imagine for a second how talented an actor she was. She could play both good guys and bad guys with equal ease, and she was also fantastic in love situations. There was no one quite like Sandahl Bergman. Let's get into Red Sonja a little farther. At first, Sandahl was offered the part of the heroine. However, she wanted to show off her acting abilities in a different way, so she decided to play the villain instead. Unlike most villains, Queen Geedon was a real handful. The character called for heavy makeup and a unique costume, and Bergman logged a ton of time in the costume shop making sure it was both flattering and functional for the action sequences. She had to wear a lot of accessories and spend a lot of time in the headpiece, which was a major hassle in and of itself. She finally achieved her desired appearance after several long makeup sessions. In addition to her role in Red Sonja, she co-starred with the legendary wrestler Roddy Piper in the 1988 science fiction picture Hell Comes to Frogtown. The role that Bergman portrayed in the film was that of Spangle, a government agent. Her cinematic credits also include Bring on the Night and Deadly Heat. Despite the lack of box office success, these films cemented her place as one of the all-time great action heroines. Performing in films was not Bergman's sole claim to fame. She has guest starred on Freddy's Nightmare and Swamp Thing, among others. She dabbled in horror in Swamp Thing, then returned to her dramatic prowess in Freddy's Nightmare, when she played a character enchanted by a ghost and delved into a darker, more suspenseful side of her performance. The Singing Detective, in which she co-starred with Robert Downey Jr., was her last cinematic performance. Imagine for a second a 52-year-old lady whose charisma captivates the crowd. Regrettably, that was the final time we seen Sandahl Bergman in a film, and she stunned spectators at that age. Wouldn't you be interested to hear about her life after she left the film industry? When it concerns her romantic relationships, Sandahl has managed to keep a low profile. Her love life was the subject of gossip and conjecture, but her private life is still a mystery. Josh Taylor, an actor from the 80s and 90s who was famous for roles in The Hogan, later dubbed The Hogan Family, The $6 Million Man, Barnaby Jones, and The Hogan, is the sole verifiable detail. They were married. Her marriage to Josh was short-lived. The pair filed for a divorce not long after the wedding. The fact that the precise date of her divorce has remained unknown is telling. Although it has not been officially proven, there were speculations that she dated talk show presenter Charlie Rose for a year, and subsequently stuntman Terry Leonard. Sandahl has kept most of her private life and charitable activities out of the spotlight, even though it's practically hard to do so in this day and age. Good things, however, cannot remain secret indefinitely, and we have learned that she is a committed philanthropist as well. Throughout his life, Sandahl has given generously to a number of humanitarian organizations, showing unwavering support for people in need. She is involved with AIDS Project Los Angeles, a nonprofit that offers free services to those living with HIV/AIDS, and one of the trusts she supports is Fighting AIDS. Her acts of generosity and kindness in this area are a reflection of her character. There is more to her acts of kindness. Myeloma is a terrible form of blood cancer that she is actively fighting. It causes terrible pain, significant weakness, and problems with urinating, among other symptoms. Myeloma treatment, which includes cell transplants and chemotherapy, is prohibitively expensive, putting many people out of reach. Those who are unable to pay for therapy can rely on the International Myeloma Foundation, to which Sandahl has made substantial contributions. The Honorable Angel Award, presented annually to those who have made extraordinary contributions to their communities, was bestowed upon Sandahl Bergman in 1995 in celebration of her altruistic endeavors. She worked tirelessly, and she earned this honor. As an actor and a person, Sandahl is an example to follow. She demonstrates that fame and money aren't the only things that matter to celebrities by demonstrating that their charitable work is worthy of equal respect with their successful careers. The current whereabouts of Sandahl are shrouded in mystery. She stays out of controversy, seldom conducts interviews, and rarely makes appearances at award ceremonies. Though she doesn't often go to science fiction gatherings, she likes meeting her fans and was recently seen at San Diego Comic-Con and Houston Space City Con. She related an anecdote about a flat tire that happened after she had been gone from the movies for some time. She contacted her sister after the accident and she came to get her. She identified herself and discussed her vehicle with a mechanic later on. At first, the mechanic didn't take her seriously and reprimanded her for being too serious. He was surprised to learn that he was a big admirer after seeing her registration. Sandahl discovered the mechanic's family costumed as Conan the Barbarian figures covering the walls of his garage the following day when she went to get her automobile. Thanks to the thoughtful gift, Sandahl had a blast playing with her fan. In these anecdotes, her modesty and appreciation for her followers are evident. There is no one quite like Sandahl Bergman. She had an irresistible film presence, and no one could ever equal her outstanding performances. She instilled in us the belief that hard work and dedication to our trade will provide abundant rewards. Now we'll say goodbye and return in the following video. In the meantime, tell us which Sandahl Bergman moment from a film you love most by leaving a comment below. For tuning in, I am grateful.